like I don't know.
All right, everyone, so we'll go ahead and get things started for this week. So thanks for coming on out. We're fortunate to have Elliot Abrams from AccuWeather with us today. And from what he was telling me, he was just reappointed to the CCM, which is the Certified Consultant Meteorologist position. So we're very fortunate to have Elliot here, and he brings a lot of experience from AccuWeather and in the field as a whole. So I'll let him take it away. And he's got plenty of good jokes, too.
The CCM board actually reviews applicants for the Certified Consulting Meteorologist designation, which I think you're eligible to apply for after you've been in the field 5 years. And a lot of people think it's very onerous and time-consuming, and it's not as bad as one thinks. And they're actually looking for more people to apply. So in any case, but if any of you do apply and while I'm still on the board, I'll have to recuse myself. But on the way over, I was noticing what happened. I don't know if you heard what happened out near the mall. Police are looking for speeders, and they see a car coming along very slowly. And they pull the guy over, and it looks like he's 100 years old. They says, "Sir, do you know how fast you're going?" He says, "Yes, I do. There's a sign notice there. It says 26 on it. I'm going 26 miles an hour. You can't give me no ticket." The officer says, "Sir, that 26 there is the name of the road you're on. That's not the speed limit." I said, "Thank you, officer. I'll use that information." And the officer looks at the back seat, and 3 guys the same age in there. They look terrified. "You guys okay?" And one of them says, "Not now." I says, "What happened before?" He says, "We just got off 144. The first thing will be a sort of forecast. But since today is the day before the paranormal becomes normal, this is a surface analysis we typically use, and it's about a 4/10 of a millibar interval for the isobars, which means any little error in the data fields, and it will show up very nicely right here in the map. But basically, today is high pressure area in North Carolina, northwesterly flow in the eastern states with moderately chilly air, and southerly flow behind it, bringing warm air back north along with moisture. And as that low pressure area that's out west of the edge of the map moves eastward, more moisture will be tapped, and then there will be a series of low pressure areas at the end of the week bringing rain. Each model shows a different amount of rain. The ensembles group it all together and average it out. And so it remains a mystery of just who gets what rain when. But it looks like from late tomorrow night into Friday and Saturday, there can be rain here just about any time. Probably drying out for Sunday. Along the East Coast, it might last a little longer, but probably dries out there Sunday as well. And I realize a lot of people are distressed around here because it has not rained since yesterday afternoon. and now the fact it's dry out there, there's a different color in the sky. It's very scary. I'll go down here. That's the surface situation. A spinning ball is always welcome. This works. Another spinning ball. Spinning ball reminds me of the only joke I've ever heard about the tides. Has everyone heard this one? A person walks down the beach at high tide and asks the lifeguard, "What's this water cost?" And she says, "What?" "Well, I heard that seawater has medicinal value. What are you charging?" He says, $5 a bucket. Takes out the $5, takes a few steps to the ocean, and scoops up the water. He trudges up the beach. 6 hours later, she sees him coming back down, figures that he is upset that he paid for seawater, but she's still on shift. She doesn't want to embarrass him. She'll give back the money if he asks her. He says, "How are you doing?" She says, "Fine, sir. How are you doing?" He looks out over the ocean and says, "I see you're doing quite a business here." This sounds like you live in the middle of the continent. All right, this thing is not working. Help. All right. Okay, so the second picture here is the Halloween weather outlook. And I added some cities there, states, Missouri and Wichita, Cape Fear, Casper, Wyoming, the Friendly Ghost, Cape Disappointment, Washington, which actually does exist, Lake Erie, and Ipswich, Massachusetts, Morris, Pennsylvania, and we also have Accident, Maryland, Transylvania County, Virginia, and Boone, North Carolina. So all those cities, there's basically going to be the southwesterly flow of moist air, and for trick-or-treaters, it's more likely to be a trick than a treat. In places like Ohio, western Pennsylvania, here there could be a few showers. And one piece of advice for like parents who haven't bought costumes for the kids yet was to have a costume large enough that could fit over the raincoat that you were wearing. That way you'd see the costume and ruin the costume, but you'd be able to see it. Otherwise, you put the coat over it, and the coat prevents you from seeing the costume, but the costume stays okay and you the next year. So it's a toss-up as to which is better. So then after that, Thursday and Friday, the rain area will shift eastward. Not a lot of cold air is following it. I mean, those lines and arrows there, the plains look very scary. It's just a little bit windy, and it's not going to be anything colder really behind us that we just had. One signal for cold weather patterns that's been found a number of times is high latitude blocking. And this was the situation last April, middle of April. This is a 10 millibar chart. You want a convenient way of getting these. The University of Wyoming Weather Lab has these sitting there. Just click on the level that you want, 10 millibars, way up at the top of the stratosphere, comes up right away. And there are no isobars, no height lines here. The vortex that's normally there had vanished virtually and had reversed to a high pressure area. That's all from the signal of more chill. We did have more chill later in spring last year. That's in contrast the situation now, when there is a vortex there. It's pretty much centered over the pole. Not the world's strongest, but typically you see a configuration like that, and you don't look for a high latitude block. Now, basically, we're going to be in this up and down pattern of a series of waves coming across the country. Each one will warm up ahead of it, cool down behind it, and each rainstorm will probably also bring the possibility of fog in places with easterly flow, likes to happen around this time of year. And there will also be convection. There will be a lot of convection in the Gulf states tomorrow afternoon and night, and perhaps in the Ohio Valley and Tennessee valleys on Thursday. And then on Friday, much less activity probably in the east. Although there were 3 cited tornadoes yesterday from Connecticut into eastern Massachusetts. It seems they wanted to get hit this fall so far. But in 2 months, an exciting thing is going to happen. And it's a comet that's going to become visible in the sky. It's supposed to reach a magnitude 3, which I read is visible, comet visible to the naked eye. But many people still won't see it. And so to give you an idea of what a comet looks like, I took a picture of a comet over a coastline, just so you'd be able to see. And here is that picture. Slowly appearing. You don't see the coastline yet because of the spinning ball. But there's a row of coastal soap underneath there. And that completes the forecast part of this. Now I'm stuck again.
You can just click the refresh bar, that should let it go.
That's up here.
Yeah.
Open the windows probably get it refreshed as well. But, all right. There's a complete picture of the comet over a coastline, and I think you'll agree that it's very visible in that situation. I also do a video every morning talking about the actual forecast, including a couple of progs and also satellite loop. And I'll go away from that now and talk about something that comes up every summer and fall as to
You can go ahead and click play.
Yep.
That full screen.
New slide. Okay. Why do we use names for tropical systems? Things called tropical rainstorm non-remnants. The names draw attention to the storms so that people know there's a risk coming along, and this way it helps people focus on what's going on. If you say there's a storm coming or a low pressure area coming, you hear that every day. But if you have a name to the thing, people can focus on that item. So tropical cyclone effects, wind damage, storm surge, ocean waves, coastal flooding, river flooding, heavy rain, aside from the flooding, visibility, calming on roads, agricultural problems, transportation disruption, even a simple thing like finding a restroom or being able to take care of daycare after a storm like this with a total devastation is terrible. People don't realize it's going to take often many weeks for power to be restored because the wires have to be restrung one at a time, and many times the things that the wires are attached to aren't there anymore. You can't even get to these places. So people that stay behind are in difficulty, and fortunately, most people now take their pets. That's a big trend recently, and it should be 100% of that, because if you leave your pet behind, you're probably never going to see your friend again. And when you get to your destination, you might think, well, what am I going to do? Somebody will help you, and that's how you get through that. So, cyclone effects. So tropical cyclone designation criteria. What is the criteria? It's wind speed. Is there any other criteria? There may have been other criteria back on September 11th, 1900. Why do all bad things seem to happen on September 11th? But anyway, this is Galveston storm that came ashore and killed thousands of people in Galveston. The U.S. Weather Bureau at that time did not believe forecasts coming from Cuba indicating that a big storm was approaching. You might say, well, why wouldn't they believe it? And the Spanish-American War had just occurred in 1898. So there was basic mistrust went on, and so nobody wanted to believe anything, and then the storm hit, and these people were washed away. But here's a story. It says, the remnants of Camille. This is 1969, but remnants caused these tremendous floods in Virginia, record floods. Another bulletin with remnants. The biggest rains along the Gulf Coast were around 10 inches. As Camille passed over the Virginias, it produced a 12 to 20 inch burst. We've seen storms like that recently too. Heavy rain from the remnants of Lee brought flooding to the Susquehanna River Valley, 10 to 12 inches of precipitation. Binghamton area getting a lot. All these are just basic examples of the rain effects of these former tropical storms. So heavy rain from the remnants, and so these are actual remnants right here. The cloth, some string, broken computers, they're remnants. But the weather is not remnants. Tropical rainstorms, however, storms that follow the storm after it's no longer a wind storm, can be called a tropical rainstorm. Can be confused maybe with the storms that are actually in the tropics, but those don't occur at 40 degrees north anyway. It wouldn't be having one of those types of tropical storms. And it's a storm that was previously classifiable as a hurricane or tropical storm, but no longer qualifies because of the wind. But it continues to deliver rain that's capable of causing flooding. That's the whole story there, and it can cause injury or death. One of the things that the National Weather Service has tried to do the last few years is change some of the naming. I think the extratropical cyclone has now been replaced by non-tropical low. Is that what it is? There's a designation like non-tropical low or anyway, I don't think it means anything more than extratropical. The term extra can make people think it's extra strong, but actually it means outside or not tropical anymore. So the language is difficult. A tropical rainstorm, if you hear that a tropical rainstorm is coming and it can cause flooding, I think it makes sense for people hearing and listening to the forecast or watching. That's really all I have. Any questions? Well, I have a question. How do vampires get around on Halloween? Correct, they take the main arteries. And what kind of shock can you get from the doctor on Halloween? Booster shock. And there's a famous monster that flies a kite in the middle of a thunderstorm. It's Franklin's time. Oh. Very bad. But they're repeatable each year. It's like the story about the person that wanted to get a parrot for his family for Thanksgiving. Brings the parrot home, puts the cage on the table, and the parrot starts cursing. The kids are coming home in 5 minutes. The parrot gets louder. The parrot gets so loud that the neighbors are calling. And they're saying, "What's going on at your house?" And he's not a cruel person, but he does, he picks up the cage and he puts it into the freezer. The meteorological connection right here is in the freezer, is cold. Takes the parrot back out after a minute. The parrot's going, "I know if I was cursing. I'm never going to do it again. I'm not going to be a bad bird ever again. I'm going to be the best pet you've ever had, but I have a question." "What's your question?" "What did the turkey do?" Back to the weather, though. We have out here what I call cumulus innocuous. Cumulus that won't do anything. They spread out, they become the stratosphere that we often see. And if you, certain models seem to be better on this than others. The much maligned NAM is often good at telling when these low clouds are going to hold in. We have a command called NAM/Y, where it shows the Prague 850 moisture, 700 moisture, 500 millibar moisture levels out to 48 out, actually out to 84 hours for any location. And for example, yesterday it was showing that at about 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 feet, there would be as much moisture around in the afternoon as there was in the morning. So you don't want to predict clearing in that case. A rule of thumb I heard many, many years ago, and I don't know the scientific reason for it, but this person, who was a TV weather person in Pittsburgh, said you don't predict clearing until the last isobar goes by with the approaching high pressure area. Of course, you might say, well, at what interval are you analyzing these isobars? And it was 4 millibars that he was using. And with the northwesterly flow, he just always assumed that it was going to stay cloudy until that last isobar arrived. You might just want to check that out for yourself as you look at patterns like this. It's so common for us to have these low clouds at this time of year. And it's embarrassing to be able to predict in storms or radiational cooling at night or how warm it's going to get, and yet you wake up in the morning, you predict that the sun is going to come out, and at noon it's overcast. How embarrassing is that? We can't do that well. It happens all the time. It doesn't happen all the time in the southwest part of the country, but there you have to worry about fog or wind, things like that. So each season we have these different things that we worry about, and soon we'll be having the snow showers and snow flurries that are common around here. It seems to snow every day in the winter without actually accumulating. But sometimes, every now and then, we'll have some heavier snow showers if the flow lines up, say, from Lake Erie and the Georgian Bay down across here. Or it'll be a little more northerly, it'll head to Pittsburgh and Morgantown, West Virginia. And so that's a challenge to forecast. And if you wanted to really see snowsqualls, you'd be at one of the SUNY campuses in New York State, but don't go there. The snow melts in the spring, and it's not going to last forever. Anybody have any kinds of questions?
Any questions, comments for Elliot?
It's a pure case that when you offer very little information when you're talking, nobody has any questions about it.
All right, well, thank you very much, Elliot. And then next week we'll have Bob Sternbeck from AccuWeather.
He's our training director